Hey there, everyone. Looks like we're live. I'm doing this from my computer so we can see what's going on. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. So we are live now. We got 6 people joining. I'm wondering, I think we usually peak at like 50 people on these Saturday question and answers. Again, this one's going to be different than the last 6 weeks. I have no idea how it's going to go. But basically, the last 6 or 7 weeks, I've asked for questions in our daily financial news. You've been gracious enough to put them there. And then I've just went down the list answering them. So I am going to try to do this one live. I have more real estate on my computer, so it'll be easier for me to look at your questions because hopefully they come fast and furious. And also I can look at the time. So I need to be done by about 8:50 my time because I talk to my students at 9 a.m. and I can't miss that because that is part of my course, answering the questions that they're dealing with and with their homework, their markets, all this stuff going on. So I will never miss that. No questions yet. We're still joining. We're up to 10 folks. So again, this is for you. So I had one question I think that came in yesterday that was from last week that I missed, that I can kind of ramble about just for a minute. And that was really around paying down your mortgages, right? When I hear questions like that, I think Dave Ramsey. I don't know if that's where these questions come from. But the question is basically, hey, should I get a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage? And really my answer is kind of, I don't really have enough information yet. If you're older and you're looking at working maybe only 5 to 10 more years and you have the financial means where a 15-year mortgage would be okay, I could see that making sense for a select few. But most of the folks, when I get that question, are younger. And they've clearly been to the Dave Ramsey school and heard his horrible investment advice about investment properties. And you got to remember, right, like we wrote about in the book, One Rental at a Time, you got to know where you are in your phase. And most of you are at phase 1 starting. And I can promise you this, after doing this for nearly 20 years, the real estate market is cyclical. Lending is cyclical. You don't know what the future is. So in my opinion, in the beginning, always get a 30-year mortgage. If you want to pay it off early, that's your call. But you do have the flexibility of a lower payment if the world changes, if your circumstance changes. If you're locked into a 15-year mortgage and 5-6 years from now something happens where it's more difficult, you're kind of stuck. So that's kind of my feeling on that question. So hopefully that's given us some time. Let's talk about this. Maggie, what do you got? You talked about yesterday, huh? Yeah, so I saw that article. That article people are referring to was from Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg talked about, again, it's from memory, Maggie, like 64% in, was it June? And then like 37% in July, or maybe it was August. Some really, really, really scary numbers. And as I kind of said in that video, I have no idea where their data source was, because all of my checks with other landlords and my personal experience has nothing even close to that. I have heard of no landlord, and I hear from a lot of them because of this channel, who has collected anything less. I don't know of anybody collecting anything less than 80%. So I think that was another thinly sourced article. Maybe it was on one set of markets or whatnot. I have not seen anything like that. My August collections are ahead of my July collections, and my July collections were fine. I have been nervous about September, so we'll ask me in the middle of September where we're at. Because again, the unemployment benefits, although they've been extended via executive order, I don't think anybody sees them. I don't think they see the extra 300 or 400 in August. So we shall see. But yeah, my personal portfolio has been over 95% every month, with a couple of months being over 98%. So yeah, so far so good. Yeah. Let's talk about a career advice. What would you do? What would advice for a career perspective be for successful in sales? Yeah, I mean, Arthur, that that was my goal, right? I figured I could stay in my career till I was 50. It was still young enough in my mind where I could enjoy quality of life. It would have allowed me to build even more of a nest egg going forward. Sales is a hard job. Enterprise sales, commission sales, where you are literally under the gun every 90 days and you could be fired, is a young man's game. It really is. And I personally had no interest in climbing the ladder. I was promoted and ran worldwide teams there at the end. But I think being a sales professional with a set of accounts and a quota is great. It gives you a much better work-life balance. My work-life balance was horrible those last 3 years. I mean, I was working 6 days a week, always traveling on, well, not always. 3 out of 4 weeks traveling on Sundays. Really, the only day I had home was Saturdays because I always traveled home on Fridays. Or otherwise, I would just have no life. Yeah, I would I would focus on making the most money, which means get the most commissions. I don't think I would be enamored by the promotions if I had to do it again. There's nothing wrong, right? If I were to go back and do it again, keeping a Bay Area accounts, so I would drive a lot versus fly to Japan and Japan to Sao Paulo and Sao Paulo to Perth, Australia, or whatever it was. That's a horrible life. So yeah. For me, it would be 50. I mean, that was just always a nice round number. As we all know, things change in sales all the time, and sometimes you need to pull the whipcord sooner. So that's what I did at 45. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, I have not seen Brian Lebo's latest video. He and I have been texting the last couple of days. That ordinance you're talking about, rental application who've been evicted or unemployed, that's interesting. I think they're doing something similar in Oakland, California. You can't even run a criminal check anymore. That's just the city and other areas trying to institute good behavior. It's a classic Gavin Newsom move, which I'm not a huge fan of. Actually, I'm not a fan at all. You can't legislate good behavior. You just can't. If the landlord doesn't want to put someone in, they will find a reason. They'll just create a tighter and tighter box. They'll raise rents, deposits, all of that stuff. This is people running around with their heads cut off trying to solve a problem with legislation when you need to rely on people being good people and good business people. Landlords, most landlords will look at an application a year from now and see, hey, so-and-so was unemployed or so-and-so was evicted. And if the tenant is having a communication with the landlord and says, this is what happened, I worked at Olive Garden and Olive Garden shut down and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that and I had to raise my kid and da-da-da-da-da, we're going to understand. It's for the folks that hide, that don't tell the truth. That's where this falls apart. It's a communication thing. I have worked with every tenant of mine who has communicated with me during this crisis, from giving free rent to giving discounts, all of that. But every tenant that is hiding and ghosting me, they will be evicted as soon as I can evict them. It's all about communication. So I need to reach out to Brian and see what he's got there. Lewis, I'm a first-time buyer, 20%. Bye-bye. I don't mind moving. So Lewis, I can't tell. Maybe, are you looking to buy your owner-occupied house? I can't tell if you're trying to buy owner-occupied or not. I think you're trying to buy owner-occupied based on your question. Can you let me know if that's true? Greg Dickerson, how can I become a billionaire this week? Start with $2 billion. Oh, you're so fun. And if you guys don't know, Greg Dickerson is our expert every Monday. You need to check out his playlist. He is so much fun. Go back and watch his interview about Toolbox, trucking a toolbox. That is one of my favorite guest interviews and really started our relationship. And you need to follow his channel because he's putting out videos every day. So go ahead and check him out. Thanks for tuning in, Greg. Yes. So Lewis, you're buying owner occupied, like I guessed. Well, again, do the math, right? Always run your numbers. I think if you're going to do FHA and you're only doing 3.5% down, you probably have to pay PMI. I don't know what the PMI private mortgage insurance is going to be. If you don't need to, that's wasted money, in my opinion. So I guess that would be where I would look at, right? PMI is money that if you have the down payment would be a waste. So also, I don't know if your interest rate would be better. I would guess your interest rate would be better with 20% down versus 3.5. But yeah, so run the numbers. Really look at PMI is what I think you'd be paying. How much cash reserves would you have in today's environment? I have, oh wow, debating on how much rentals to buy versus. Wow, congrats, 9 rentals, Arthur. That's nice. So you're in tech sales, right? From an earlier conversation. You live in California too, if I remember. So that's an expensive state. Again, this is not advice for you, but I would tell you what I would do, right? I always kept about 100K once I got to that kind of size, because again, right, tech sales is very cyclical. You could be at a tech company where you starve for a little while, you can't hit, your accounts aren't buying, blah, blah, blah. You're living on your base. That's tough living. You may need to change careers or change employers and then need to build your track record, learn new accounts, all of that. Right. Being an enterprise software salesperson means some points of your career, you're not going to get a commission check for 9 months, and you need to plan for that. And when you're living on a 50-50 plan, no commission for 9 months sucks. So I would, in that example, I would always have 100K put away in a separate account for quote unquote emergencies. And then I would deploy the rest probably. But I wouldn't be in a rush today. Again, you got to remember, we're in today's market's like nothing I've seen. So just because I had the 300K tucked away doesn't mean I would use it. I would look every day like I still am. But I'm sitting on more than that now, and I can't find anything to buy. So, but I'm looking. This is a personal opinion. Using a HELOC to pay off a rental property, no way in hell. I would never do that. I do understand the math, right? A HELOC is a lower interest rate. But one thing that is paramount to me, and it obviously goes back to my when I was growing up, I don't want to put my primary asset at risk, ever. Now, would I use a HELOC to buy a once-in-a-lifetime deal if I had a plan to pay it off inside of a year? Yes. Right? If I had to use a HELOC to buy a house for cash because other people were bidding and I saw a way to refi out in 6 months, yes, I would use my HELOC for that. But would I take my HELOC that is at 3.5% or 2.5%, pay off a 6% mortgage just cause? No, never. No chance. No chance in hell. That's my opinion. I'm trying to buy owner. Yeah, you're trying to buy owner occupied, Lewis. Yep. Yeah. So again, Lewis, I believe if you do 3.5% down FHA, which I think from your earlier question, you will be paying private mortgage insurance called PMI. So check the math. PMI could be several $100s. And if you have the extra 20%, do you want to spend it? That's a personal choice. Paul Lewis, if you were at that pivotal point of your journey again today of owning 8 properties in today's market, what would you do? No, I would never do an average deal. I think the market we are in today is abnormal. I keep repeating myself. The market we are in today with 1 month of supply is not normal. Not normal. I am seeing owner occupants buy like never before. I would not do an average deal. Frankly, I probably wouldn't even do a good deal in this market. And that means I would just keep stacking cash. There's nothing wrong if you can't find a deal with stacking cash. Just because you have bullets doesn't mean you need to fire. I know it feels bad. I know you want to do something. I know you're itching. I know you feel like you're stuck. I get it. But if you overpay for something, it may feel good today, but I promise you it will feel bad tomorrow. Alligator properties suck. I had one. I created it. It's terrible. There is nothing wrong with stacking cash if the market is hot. Back to that question about if I had 8 houses, it's not quite time to sell. I mean, you can go back and look at Zillow. It's 1818 Norris Drive East 93703. Go pull it up on Zillow. I buy it for 107. I sell it for 264. And 15 years later, it's worth 190. It's still not back 15 years later. If Norris Drive, again, going back to your question, goes from 190 to 300, 315, to your question, I would sell it again. I would get more cash. I get it. This is a crazy, crazy market. Learn your market. Look at your market every day. It will change. I promise you it will change. It won't change today. It won't change tomorrow, but it will change. So hopefully that makes sense. And one watch out with FHA loans is that they're permanent private insurance. They will never drop it, unlike conventional loans. Good point. I haven't done an FHA loan, so I didn't know that. Yeah, so you would have to refi out, I guess, when you got 20% equity. Back to Comic Wisdom's question. Yep, investing in Bakersfield. Yep, good idea. What would you do if a tenant continues to pay late? Let them. Charge them a late fee. If the tenants are paying late, but they're still paying, I mean, let's be clear. What does late mean? Is late the 15th of a month? Take the money. It's fine. You get an extra 25, 50, $100. I don't know what your late pay is. Take the money. Late pay is a hell of a lot better than no pay. Now, if late pay means you file 3-day notice, you start evictions, 3 months later they pay right before the sheriff shows up, that's a different story. I'd kick them out. But if the tenant's paying every month and they're paying their late fee, so be it. They have a cash flow problem. They're not managing their bills. That's not your problem. Take the money and run. That's what I would do. Yeah, Lewis, that's, again, back to my earlier comment when I saw your question first. I don't know your personal situation. As I think I said, I don't know how long it took you to have it or how long it would take to replace it. To be clear, there's nothing wrong with an FHA loan, 3.5% down. Just realize you're going to be paying, I don't know what it's going to be, a couple $100 for PMI. Not that it's bad. I think it's wasted money. But, maybe you can invest that other capital, that other, what was it, 40 grand to return enough to pay for your PMI. I don't know. That's for you to decide. I would certainly do 20% down. I don't like it's like PMI is like a HOA fee, something you can't pay off, right? That's why I don't do a lot of condos, because you can never pay off the HOA. And oh, by the way, the HOA can go up. That's how crazy that is. Michael, investing in small towns is not for me. I know a few people that I've interviewed on this channel, I think, that do it and do it quite successfully. I think if you're going to invest in a small town, you got to live there. You don't necessarily have to live there. Let me take that back. You've got to have boots on the ground that you trust, and you have to be able to get there. Because it's hard enough to understand what's going on in a big city. In a little town, one little hiccup, and the town's gone. Also, it's not for me, right? Towns of 10,000, 15,000. It's not for me. I know people that do it successfully. Boots on the ground are going to be important. Am I a realtor? So as I shared in the book, in my book, this one, in case you haven't read it, I did end up getting my real estate license, but I'm not renewing it. I've never done anything. I hate all the paperwork. I became a realtor because I was convinced that there was some super secret information in the multiple listing service that I was missing, and I'm a data geek. Once I got access, I was significantly disappointed. I have no interest in open houses. I have no interest in doing paperwork. I have no interest in writing offers for other investors. I enjoy my life, and time is my thing I can't get back. So I will not be renewing my license. I think it's up in October. So technically, I am a licensed real estate agent as of today, but by the middle of October, that will no longer be the case. When you get your license, I believe it's a 2-year period. So that's that question. And would I get it again? No, I wouldn't get it again. Better Homes Rental, thanks for reaching out. I don't necessarily, I mean, it depends on what you mean by gold in quotes, like physical gold. I have my paperweight at my desk, this 1 kilo silver coin. I don't actually translate them to the physical asset. It's not a replacement for gold or silver. But yes, I do see all of my investment properties as an inflation hedge. Because they're inflation protected, right? They increase, they're actually, as far as I'm considered, double inflation hedged. The asset goes up as well as the rent, where my fixed rate debt is, like I said, fixed. So I'm in investment real estate and not physical silver or gold. Income, not income. In fact, if you have enough of it, you got to pay to store it. So I guess sort of, kind of, certainly a hedge against inflation. While I'm paying more for eggs and milk and gas and all of that stuff in the future, my rents are going up to cover that. And I have enough units where I'm a net positive. So hopefully that makes sense. What is an alligator house? Oh my goodness. You need to read my book. I have a picture of it in here. I should actually write down what page it's on. I think it's in the front. There. See? No alligators. An alligator house is also called negative cash flow. The short story is I did a cash out refinance that was stupid. My mortgage payment after cash out refi was like $1,200. My rent was $1,100. So every month I had to take $100 out of my pocket to pay for that house. So that's an alligator house. I created the word alligator because it doesn't cash flow, wasn't painful enough. I had a buddy of mine that bragged about being able to afford 4 negative cash flow houses. And that's beyond stupid. So that's why I created the image of alligators, because they eat cash. Oh, Josh answered the question. Thanks, buddy. You're welcome. I enjoy these streams, and I really like it from my computer because I can see the text better. Giovanni, congratulations on getting your first duplex. A couple of thoughts. What I recommend for everybody after they get the first deal is twofold. First and foremost, keep looking. Stay active. Don't give up. Look in the market. But don't buy another one for 90 days. You need to figure out if your numbers are right. The last thing you should do is go get your first one, go get your second one, go get your third one. Because if you do them too quickly, you're not going to learn. Maybe your math is wrong. Maybe your expenses are low. Maybe your expenses are high. Maybe your rents are high. Maybe your rents are low. So celebrate closing your first deal. Enjoy it. That is something I did horribly wrong. You need to enjoy your wins. Your first one is special. They get easier from there. But in my opinion, keep looking every day, but don't you dare buy something for 90 days until you understand if this is for you. Probably different advice than you were expecting. Sorry. What are your predictions for real estate prices over the next 1 to 2 and 3 to 5? So Arthur, your question on predictions, let's keep it in the single family residential area, just so we can have an umbrella or a bubble. I think there's going to be winners and losers. I think there's going to be some spectacular losers. I think New York, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Las Vegas, and there's others, Orlando, are going to see some spectacular housing crashes. Crashes. More than 10%. If that's a crash, that's more than 10%. But that's only the downside. I think there's going to be some markets that win huge. I think Fresno, California, luckily enough, and I certainly admit I could be biased, Texas, Arizona, some cities in Nevada, but not Vegas, are going to win and win big. So when the talking heads on TV talk about real estate, I think it will be up single digits, but they're going to be missing the point. I think there are going to be many, many, many MSAs, which are the markets, that are up double digits. I just saw Fresno's numbers yesterday. Fresno's up 10.9% year on year. I think it goes higher. The offers today are crazy. Owner occupants are spending crazy. So that's just going to mean prices go up. So I think some markets will be up 1 to 2 years easy, double digits. I think others will be down double digits. 3 to 5 years is harder to tell. I think there's a wall out there, and the wall is affordability. So that's the question on when do you sell. I think you said earlier you're in Bakersfield. So run the numbers. I don't know if Bakersfield is big enough to have a affordability index. I know Fresno's, I think it's an hour or 90 minutes away. Fresno does. Last time I checked, Fresno is about 42. Again, it goes from 0 to 100, as I talk about in my book. If it ever got below 20, I would sell. Just like last time. I wrote this book because real estate's cyclical, and if it repeats itself, I'm going to do the same thing because, hey, it worked out last time. I would have no problem selling every one of my houses. If I could sell Norris Drive 100 times for $264, I would do it 100 times. If you want to overpay, I'll take the cash. I'll sit on cash for 2 years until the thing blows up and then buy again. That's okay. I've seen the movie before. I'm just going to do it again. It worked out pretty well last time. So then what to do with the proceeds? Well, as I've said many times, I suspect multifamily will be crashing right when single family is peaking. And if it does, I will do exactly what I did in the book. I will go from 8 to 80, but it'll be more like 30 to 300 or 35 to 350 or something. And if it's not, if multifamily hasn't cracked yet, maybe it's a year off, I'd sit on cash. There's nothing wrong with sitting on cash. I know we look at our bank balance and we look, I have a high interest rate account that used to be 2%. That's now 0.1. I'm not moving my cash. I don't count on any of that interest. I am waiting to find deals. And if I have to sit on it for 6 months and do nothing, so be it. It's okay. No big deal. Yeah. So the PMI question, I think we've answered that a couple of times. You can pay it off with conventional once you hit 20%. And with FHA, you can refi out. Yes, correct. You live in Gnosis, Canada. Hi, welcome. 8,000 people. What? Okay, let me read the question first. Oh, nice. Yeah. So again, if you're going to live in it, house hack it, that's a different equation, right? That's living there. As I said earlier in the small town question, if you have boots on the ground and you're going to live there, that's okay. That's you have to. And because you're going to be living there, you're going to know what's going on in the small town, and you're going to be able to understand raising rents, employers coming, employers leaving. That's the only way to do it. If you're going to invest in a small town of 8,000 people, my opinion, you have to live there. And a house hack's a great idea. I think house hacking a triplex or a quad is a great idea. I wish you nothing but luck. Oh, thank you for the nice words. I've done several interviews with folks or podcasts with folks in Canada, and I think I think the message works. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. So Aaron, you might want to read this book. I write about the crash in this because I started back in 2002. Short answer is we sold houses at the peak, moved all our equity via 1031 exchange into apartments. Lending stopped, bankers stopped lending to us, so we went and got hard money, then private money, and we bought a ton of real estate in 2010 and 11. I did quite well in the crash. Your real estate attorney also used alligator. Cool. Make sure he sends me my nickel royalty. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Is there any Bay Area city where you see value? Well, again, Andrew, it depends on what you mean by value. Do I see cash flow? No, not with a reasonable down payment. Value owner occupant? Sure. I think a lot of people are leaving San Francisco and becoming owners in other cities. Yeah, I like you say, they're fleeing vertical cities. Absolutely. They're going out further and further. They're going to commute to work once a week, twice a week once this thing is over. So yeah, there's value there, but it's not cash flow. It's not what I talk about. But yeah, there's plenty of cities with land and space, right? Space is good, vertical's bad. But I look for cash flow, right? I built a real estate portfolio that pays for my daily life. I don't need a wedge deal like some other. Never mind. I don't need a wedge deal. There's a lot of wedge deals out there. Wedge deals can kill you in a bad market. I want cash flow, and you don't see that generally speaking in what people would call the Bay Area. Oh, welcome. There's over 2,500 videos for you to enjoy on the channel, Ramel. I've been doing this a while. Andrew P. Yeah. Oh, Bay Area. Bay Area. I knew what you meant. I certainly seasoning is coming back, Josh. I've not heard of a year. Maybe that's a credit union or some smaller bank. I've certainly heard of 6 months. Seasoning it was not uncommon 4 or 5 years ago. It kind of went out 2018 and 19, but it's back. They just want to check your numbers. They want to check their own numbers. They're also telling you they're not sure where the real estate market is going. That's what seasoning is. That's banker speak for I'm a little nervous. That's all that is. So yeah, a year that's a hell of a long time. They're pretty nervous. I've never heard of a year. I've heard of 6 months, but not a year. Has anybody ever bought a tax deed property for passive income? Lori, I've looked at them over the years. It certainly sounds really sexy on TV when those ads come up. I've never bought one. I think I went to one tax deed auction, but it wasn't for me. I didn't really get it. I'm sure there's lots of people that do it really, really well. But as always, I stay in my lane. I've never done it, so it's hard for me to give advice there. But there seems to be something there. And I'm going to guess tax deed investing is going to become really popular again 4 or 5 years from now. Just real estate cyclical. Yeah, relationships matter. Yep. Our town, Nova Scotia, is a fishing economy. Cool. House prices are very low, 30 to 50K. Cool. Rents, Yeah, I guess the one thing I don't see in Nova Scotia that you've highlighted is I don't know the lending rules. I believe Canada doesn't have 30-year fixed rate mortgages. I believe they're variable or they're fixed for a length of time. Can you get a loan on a 30K house in the US, but maybe in your town it's okay? So what I need is I don't see your lending requirements. Old houses don't bother me. Although it does seem like you're going to be by the sea and salt. I don't know. I'm assuming salt water. I don't know. But that water usually eats houses pretty good. At least that's what I've seen. So you're going to have huge maintenance budgets. Again, I don't know. I'm kind of out of my depths. I don't own anything in in Nova Scotia, obviously. But I would get a home inspection for sure, and I would have a deep budget for reserves because it sounds like old homes may have some issues. That's what I'm thinking. Usually a bank would, if you're gonna, I don't know where that question comes from, Kara, but let's say, I don't know, let's say you have a 200K house and you have a 100K mortgage and you pull out 50K. No, you don't pay PMI on that because you still have 20% equity. PMI is usually done. I've only heard of it done at purchase with a purchase money mortgage. I've not heard of PMI in a refi. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just that I haven't heard of it. But typically PMI is for people who don't have 20% down at purchase. Typically. Romel, so hopefully you heard my earlier question about home equity. I would never put that at risk. I wouldn't put that at risk. Going back to normal, again, you haven't done enough research to know what normal feels like. So you should be looking at deals every day. Every day. Take the 75-day hard challenge. I mean, go to work, do the work. Put in the legwork. I still look every day after 20 years. So I think you have a lot of work to do ahead of you. And by the end of the year, you'll know if the market is quote unquote going back to normal. As for other books, you need to figure out what kind of investor you're going to be, because that's hard for me to answer, right? Do you want to flip, buy and hold, all of that? I don't have any of them near me, do I? Let me see. What's this one? No. I have a big bookshelf back there, but I should actually take a few out. The ones that move the needle for me, there's a blue and white book by Gary Keller. I think it's called Real Estate Millionaire. It's blue and white. It's about that thick. I've read that book a half a dozen times, but I've read the back. In the back of the book, it does a case study about 25 investors. I've read that 100 times. That book to me is just those stories is worth it. And Gary Keller, blue and white. He's done several. He's got, the one I like is blue and white. I happen to enjoy an older book by Fixer J. Fixer, Fixerjay. Fixer J. He talks about buying old houses, multiple houses on a lot. I thought that was pretty good. Of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad changed my life. Always got to give that book a shout out. So those are the ones for me. Millionaire Next Door, not really real estate, but teaches you to live below your means. Thoughts on rent by room strategy, pros and cons. Again, got to remember this is personal experience. I've never done it, will never do it. I just see pain. I understand the math in your spreadsheet, but folks, I've lived spreadsheet math, and let's just say reality is reality, and your spreadsheet lies to you. Spreadsheets are non-emotional. You can beat them up any way you like. You can make the money look great. But next thing you know, when Susie is battling with Mary, that's battling with Mark, and so-and-so leaves fish in the microwave, or, I just couldn't imagine. It's too much headache being a month-to-month landlord, let alone day-to-day, room-to-room. Oh my God, I could not imagine anything more painful. But again, I live in the Bay Area, and there's plenty of people doing house hacks in the Bay Area that's the only way they can afford it. So I understand the appeal. I think house hacking a triplex or a quad that was mentioned earlier is far more interesting. At least they're not behind the same front door. But man, I could not imagine house hacking a house. Oh, I have a friend who has $1 million house in Santa Clara. I think it's 4 bedrooms, and he has 8 people living there. He actually put bunk beds in the living room. I could not imagine that. Not for me. But maybe if you like people, and I don't know, it's not for me. I can't even make it sound good. All of my houses are built before 1910. Yeah, of course, bring up to code. Yeah, knob and tube wiring. I can imagine. The thing I would, the other thing I see what you're doing there, Cosmic Wisdom. Thanks for participating. I wonder what it would cost to build a new home. I don't know. Also, I wonder what it would cost to Amazon, and these folks are building these little pre-assembled houses. I wonder what it would take to get 10 of those shipped and built from scratch. I mean, look at it differently. If there's an inventory problem, there's an inventory problem. So I don't know. I mean, that's the beauty of real estate. You can always find your little niche. Your book was 1 in 5 read this year. Cool. Awesome. Jay, I'm glad you did that. Sounds good. There are a lot in Alabama. Oh, I think we're talking about tax deeds. Yeah, I think no experience, as I said earlier. Yep. Do you own the condo where you live? Yes. Yep. Bought in 99. Yeah. So that's been my experience with Canada as well. Again, on podcasts when I give advice and all of that. Again, the other question that I don't think you've answered here is, can you get a loan on a $30,000 mortgage? In the U.S., that would be tough. $50K is somewhat doable, but still not easy. $100K is pretty easy. So check that stuff out. Kevin, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. Yeah, Canada, you refi. Yeah, I understand. Oh, there you go. So so somebody has experience. So keep your cash out, refi below 80% to avoid PMI. Yep. Okay, there you go. Real world experience. Thank you. There's a good question. So we researched Fresno about 2 weeks before we bought our first place. We didn't research Fresno at all way back when. We researched the Bay Area for over a year. So we had been looking for real estate and investment house for over a year. We knew our numbers, we knew our math. We were extremely frustrated, as we talk about in this book, and we just jumped. Not recommended, never recommended doing that. But we were so frustrated after a year of making no progress that we found a house for 107 grand that rented for 1,100, and we wrote an offer that day. We actually were driving home. I read about this in the book, I think. We are driving home after seeing it. Olivia, my wife and better half, says, so we're going to write an offer? And I start hemming and hawing. And she goes, if you don't write an offer, I am never looking at real estate with you again. So I pulled over, called the agent. We wrote an offer. Never lived in Fresno, never spent the night, didn't know anybody. Total stupid. I should have researched it more. But after researching the Bay Area for a year, I was damn near burned out. That's the honest answer to that question. Oh, Andrew. Oh, that's a great question. So my mistake with our daughter was when we made her go down and check out real estate for us, we would always show her the ugly side, right? Where you open the front door and roaches fall on you, or you walk into a house and it smells like 1,000 cats, or she hears us, I don't know, talking about this or that eviction. So she only ever heard us when Olivia and I have gone back and talked about this. She really only heard us talk about the downside. We failed to show her the upside. And it doesn't take you very many negative experiences in the beginning to really cement that in your head. Boy, real estate's stinky. It's filled with bugs, and it's not for me. So if I had to do it all over again, I would only bring her into the pretty finished product. I would do a much better job of talking about just what's happening to our balance sheet and cash flow so that she would see nothing but the upside. But once you've done the downside, it's pretty hard to pull it out. So that was a huge mistake. That's what I would do different. Yeah, ADUs, given some of the California laws that have passed recently, seem to make sense. I've looked at them in Fresno. It will certainly become a thing for sure. I mean, I wonder if it's a little too late for California with what's all going on. If we have enough population leave, then we don't have a supply problem. And an ADU was really meant to solve the supply problem. So we shall see. But I do like. I think it's helpful. ADUs in the Bay Area are certainly popular, but who can afford a 7-figure house as a rental, right? It's pretty crazy. Yep. Yep. I would never do rent by room. I really try to stay away from, is this a good time to buy in the Bay Area, right? So if you're going to live there for the rest of your life, it doesn't matter. If you're going to live in San Jose for 2 years and you're going to go, that's a little too short time for me, but that would be the same answer I gave you anytime. Other thing to be clear is San Jose is going to do better than San Francisco. If you had said, is it time to buy in San Francisco? My answer would have been unequivocally no. But San Jose is not San Francisco. It's a different economy. It's really the Bay Area for me. So the answer for you, VS, at least that's what it says here, is how long are you going to live there? If the answer is greater than 10 years, probably doesn't matter. You're going to get great interest rates, which in a few years, you're going to feel like you're printing money. 30-year fixed rate mortgage. It's going to be a jumbo loan though. So that's going to be expensive. But yeah, I think that's, it all comes down, in my opinion, to how long you're going to live there. If you're going to live there the rest of your life, doesn't matter. You're going to live there less than 5 years. I don't know. You're welcome. Writing for me is tough. I have not seen the Wall Street Journal today, but I am not surprised that the Silicon Valley exit is real. I've been telling you guys that for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I'm glad the Wall Street Journal watches my channel. Just kidding. That was a joke. People are leaving. People are moving to Fresno, folks. People are buying. Man, it's crazy. The Valley is, yeah. Schools not opening is a big deal because some people were holding on. Yeah. I'm going to go look at that article. Thanks, Gail. Do I have? No, she's 29 now. So she's an adult. She's off in New York. She's enjoying her life. No, I mean, if she asks, of course, but we're not forcing it by any stretch. Nope. We missed our chance. That's a good question about when you leave the residence to make it a write-off. There's so many factors in that. Like, where is your income? Your income may be high enough where write-offs don't matter, right? You just do a carry forward loss. You could do the write-offs in the same year. It probably doesn't matter. And are the repairs required because it sounds like you're going to live there a while? I think sometimes people make choices. I don't know. It depends on what the repairs are. If it's like paint and carpet, yeah, I'd probably wait. If it was a plumbing leak, probably not. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I openly talk to my 14-year-old. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, again, talk about the good stuff. That's the thing I did wrong is when Teresa was a teenager, like young, like 12, 13, 14, is we only showed her the bad stuff. That was such a tactical error. Dalton Adams, I don't know. I'd obviously be cheaper. I mean, I'm sure dad wouldn't charge you. So 0 is less. Home inspections aren't all that expensive. At least in my area, they're only a couple $100. And the home inspectors always go through the same checklist. I'm not sure dad will go through the same checklist. I don't know. Have dad do it. See how you feel. Yeah. Filthy houses have the smell of money. All right, everybody. So this worked out. We'll probably do it this way going forward because I like to see the live chat. I'm going to shut it down. This has been almost 51 minutes. We got 54 people watching. Only 17 thumbs up. I mean, why do I do these for like 17 thumbs up? Can you help a guy out? Come on. But I'm going to shut down now so I can get ready for my students here in about 9 minutes. Take care, everyone. Bye.